Hey guys, Lord Naren White here, the Holy Ghost, the one true God, back with you with the next video in my Line of God's Daily Diary series. As usual, before I discuss what I have achieved since yesterday's Daily Diary video, I want to go ahead and read you a chapter from the Bible. Today I will be continuing the book of the prophet Isaiah, chapter 29. Woe to Ariel, the city where David dwelt. Add ye year to year, let them kill sacrifices. Yet I will distress Ariel, and there shall be heaviness and sorrow, and it shall be unto me as Ariel. And I will camp against thee round about, and will lay siege against thee with a mount, and I will raise forts against thee. And thou shalt be brought down, and shalt speak out of the ground, and thy speech shall be low out of the dust, and thy voice shall be as of one that hath a familiar spirit out of the ground. And thy speech shall whisper out of the dust. Moreover, the multitude of thy strangers shall be like small dust, and the multitude of the terrible ones shall be as chaff that passeth away. Yea, it shall be at an instant suddenly. Thou shalt be visited of the Lord of hosts with thunder, and with earthquake, and with great noise, with storm and tempest, and the flame of devouring fire. And the multitude of all nations that fight against Ariel, even all that fight against her and her munition, and that distress her, shall be as a dream of a night vision. It shall even be as when an hungry man dreameth, and behold, he eateth, but he awaketh, and his soul is empty, or as when a thirsty man dreameth, and behold, he drinketh, but he awaketh, and behold, he is faint, and his soul hath appetite. So shall the multitude of all the nations be that fight against the Mount Zion. Stay yourselves and wonder, cry ye out, and cry, they are drunken, but not with wine, they stagger, but not with strong drink. For the Lord hath poured out upon you the spirit of deep sleep, and hath closed your eyes. The prophets and your rulers, the seers hath he covered. And the vision of all is become unto you as the words of a book that is sealed, which men deliver to one that is learned, saying, Read this, I pray thee. And he saith, I cannot, for it is sealed. And the book is delivered to him that is not learned, saying, Read this, I pray thee. And he saith, I am not learned. Wherefore the Lord said, Forasmuch as this people draw near me with their mouth, and with their lips do honor me, but have removed their heart far from me, and their fear toward me is taught by the precept of men. Therefore, behold, I will proceed to do a marvelous work among this people, even as a marvelous work and a wonder. For the wisdom of their wise men shall perish, and the understanding of their prudent men shall be hid. Woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from the Lord, and their works are in the dark, and they say, Who seeth us, and who knoweth us? Surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. For the work say of him that made it, He made me not. Or shall the thing framed say of him that framed it, He had no understanding. It is not yet a very little while, and Lebanon shall be turned into a fruitful field, and the fruitful field shall be esteemed as a forest. And in that day shall the deaf hear the words of the book, and the eyes of the blind shall see out of obscurity and out of darkness. The meek also shall increase their joy in the Lord, and the poor among men shall rejoice in the Holy One of Israel. For the terrible one is brought to naught, and the scorner is consumed, and all that watch for iniquity are cut off. That make a man an offender for a word, and lay a snare for him that reproveth in the gate, and turn aside the just for a thing of naught. Therefore thus saith the Lord, who redeemed Abraham, concerning the house of Jacob, Jacob shall not now be ashamed, neither shall his face now wax pale. But when he seeth his children, the work of mine hands in the midst of him, they shall sanctify my name, and sanctify the Holy One of Jacob, and shall fear the God of Israel. They also that erred in spirit shall come to understanding, and they that murmur shall learn doctrine. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. So Isaiah 29 is an awesome chapter, and one of the So, so I want to just make sure I understand clearly. Okay, so this place Ariel is clearly is meant to be Jerusalem, and that's a very beautiful saying there. So next, I love the way that the Lord talks about how the enemy is blind to the power of God, to the wisdom of God. I think that's one of the, this. There are two passages I'll point to talk about that here, which is Isaiah 29:10 and Isaiah 29:14. So Isaiah 29:10 says, "For the Lord hath poured out upon you the spirit of deep sleep, and hath closed your eyes. The prophets and your rulers, the seers hath he covered." And then he talks about how the vision has become as a book that is sealed. So they no longer, they don't have an understanding of God's wisdom. And obviously if they don't see his wisdom, they're not going to understand his power either. And so the next thing is, when we look at Isaiah 29:14, it reads, "Therefore, behold, I will proceed to do a marvelous work among this people, even as a marvelous work and a wonder, for the wisdom of their wise men shall perish, and the understanding of their prudent men shall be hid." So the idea being that the wisdom, remember what by the Bible teaches, which is that the wisdom of this world is foolishness with God. I don't want to give any specific examples of things that the world says are good, but God says don't make sense. Rather, the idea is that the wisdom of God is from a nature that man is not, right? And that's what makes God Jesus so great, is he is the hypostatic union. He is fully God and fully man. He's not half God, half man. He's fully God and fully man, meaning he understands, both natures and is fully both. And so what's very beautiful about God Jesus is that he's able to understand the failings of men's wisdom, where sometimes things seem so obvious, right? Whatever it may be, like, for example, Solomon is a very common case in the Bible, right? I talk about that a lot, that for 700 years, from the time of Abraham to the time of Joshua, I fought alongside those men during the time period of the Old Testament. This is my belief as Lord Naren by the Spirit of God. And we triumphed. I write that in my gospel. And I mention that because of how difficult it was from the time when Abraham is being persecuted to the time when Joshua and the Israelites achieve victory and the land rests for more, and how much sacrifice goes into that. And ultimately, Solomon, even knowing the story, takes 700 wives and 300 concubines. And what happens? His heart goes astray from the Lord his God, because instead of following the voice of God that is guiding him rightly, his mind is now split 1,000 times over, thinking about this woman, this woman, this woman, instead of thinking about one God. And so that's an idea of how the wisdom of this world is foolishness with God. And I love that example here in Isaiah 29, where God talks about the wisdom will be like a book that is sealed to you. And I thought that was a very beautiful way of describing what it is once God has moved on, in terms of decided not to help somebody. And so with that, I'll go ahead and end the Bible reading there for today, and transition over to what I have achieved since yesterday's daily dive video. Since yesterday's daily dive video, I worked at my chest, I worked at my legs, I created, uploaded, and was scheduled today's daily dive video for 11/25/23, and I created many video game videos. And with no further achievements since yesterday's daily dive video, I want to go ahead and say thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Please like, comment, and subscribe, as it greatly helps the channel. Light be with you all. Take care, and thanks again.